Hey, what's up guys? Bdaman Games, and today we're going to be doing a quick profile of the Umbreon GX Zoroark deck. I've been playing around for a little while. I finally finished it on paper. I've been playing this on TCGO for a little while. It's a great deck. A lot of people don't see it coming. Today, actually, Zoroark GX got announced. It's going to be in Sun and Moon 3, I believe. That's going to roughly translate to Shining Legends here in the TCG. Very excited. That card is just insanely broken. The moment I saw that Zoroark, I actually built an entire deck for it already. So, Darkrai Zoroark is going to be a thing with me. Get ready for that profile, because that's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, here is the deck I am running. So, first off with the energy, 4 double colorless energy. And these are the Heart Gold, Soul Silver pop versions of them. Then we're running 6 of the organized play Call of Legends Umbreon energies, because when you play evolutions, you have to have matching energies. It's kind of like a rule, you know? So, into the trainers, running a playset of Shauna instead of Professor Sycamore. The meta that I've been going to between my two stores, Garb is just absolutely disgusting. It's a ton of Garb matchups. So my plan was, when I was sorting through bulk of all things, I came across Shauna, and it kind of hit me like, okay, well, why would I Sycamore myself and just burn a bunch of items when I could just shuffle them back in and drop 5 cards? Shauna is absolutely spectacular in the late game, when N would traditionally be your only option. Instead of ending yourself down from like 5 to 2, you can just use Shauna. She's amazing. Really underrated and underplayed card. She is probably the best supporter in the format. I will go as far as to say that. Then, because we are playing Shauna, I'm only going to run 2 ends in the deck. The shuffle effects are great. You don't want to, you don't want to feed your opponents shuffling that often. So 2 ends is enough for me. 2 Lissandres, pretty self-explanatory. Can't wait to replace him with Kazuma when he comes out. 1 Delinquent, a Hex Maniac, Olympia, Malo, because it's one of the decks I build. Team Skullgrunt full art, because that's just the greatest card ever made. And a Professor Kukui to end up all our supporters. Moving on to the items, it's pretty straightforward. 4 Versus Seeker, 4 Ultra Ball, 3 Floatstone, 3 Parallel City. This card, I've found myself a lot recently. I'm really giving myself the red end, I'm giving myself the blue end more. There's been a lot of Greninja popping up in my area, and the ability to just cut the attacks by 20 early game is really good, so I do quite appreciate that. Unfortunately, there's still 2 Trainers Mails in this deck. I played this without the 2 Trainers Mails, and it just doesn't work. That card is just really good. It's very dependent. All decks in Standard really depend on Trainer's Mail, so hopefully I'll find a good replacement for it soon. And our final item is, of course, Field Blower. That pretty much cuts it for the items. And into the Pokemon we go. Obviously, 4 Reverse Holo Eevees from Sun and Moon. That's the Energy Evolution. Turn 1, Darkness Energy, evolve it into Umbreon GX, which we are running, of course, a full playset of. And that's the end of the evolutions. 1 Jolteon and 1 Flareon. I was running Vaporeon in here. Fire-type decks have kind of started to die out recently. There are a few people I do play against that do play fire decks. But for the most part, I don't see a reason to be playing Vaporeon anymore, so I'm going to stick with just Jolteon and Flareon. There's still a lot of Turbo Darks floating around the area, so Jolteon onto Umbreon and just Shadow Bullet for 180. It feels really good. Then, of course, running 2 Zorua, 2 Zoroark, and 1 Zoroark Break. And, the Break is still technically considered a Stage 1, so foul play with Flareon or Jolteon on the field, it's a good feeling. So I do enjoy that. And we'll wrap this up with, of course, 2 Shaman and 2 Tapu Lele to justify all of these single supporters in this deck. So overall, with this deck, like I said, it's Umbreon Zoroark. It's very self-explanable how the whole deck plays out. I found myself 9 times out of 10. I'm really enjoying using Zoroark Break. I might actually change my lineup a little bit to be running 3 Zoroark Breaks and just cut my Umbreons down from 4 to 2. Same with the Eevees to a 2-2 line, just to see how consistent that's going to be. Zoroark is amazing. I'm glad we found the counter to Garb in like the most simple, most easily understandable card in the world. That's always appreciative when stuff like that happens. Very fun deck to play. It's always Rogue, like I always say. Rogue is always the answer to meta. Matchups that are usually the most favorable are Decidueye and Alolan Ninetales, believe it or not, has been a very fun matchup for this deck. Garb is just a nightmare. That's when you actually, the deck stops playing itself and you need to actually figure out what in the world you're doing, because, that pile of items really can come back to bite you in the butt. So, Shauna like crazy, limit your Versus Seekers. There was a time when I actually tried to run Vileplume in this deck as a 1/1/1, which was horrendous. Now, granted, it worked, but it was obviously very situational how fast you can get on Vileplume just to, stop yourself from playing items. It's a 50-50. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But, yeah, it's an amazing deck. I love it. Built it under, I think, like $75. Obviously, under 75 minus, money right here. But of course, there are very easy substitutes for these, Tauros, Oranguru, and even, Octillery is a great line to start off with. So, thank you all for watching. Please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next review.